Today we're going to be looking at the signal path from the pedal board into the little Mackie Mixer and how I process that, and then into the camera, and from the camera into DaVinci, and then how I export files and get that into Pro Tools so that I can process it and finalize it for the videos that you see on YouTube. So without further ado, here's my audio path. Super simple. Just an old Mackie DFX12. This thing's ancient, still works. I use this live, and so I have my SM58 comes in channel 1, and then this 1/4" cable comes in the line in. That's from that Fushweller output volume pedal from my pedal board. Both gains are set about the same. I do use high pass filtering on both channels, obviously for the vocal, just to clean up all that mud and pops that you'd get from, you know, if you say a P or a K or any of those sounds. The guitar, I'm actually high passing the low end at 75 Hertz, but boosting everything above it. That's kind of a studio Pultec thing-ish. But yeah, the reason is because if I don't do that, live, when the PA is cranked up, I'll get feedback from my guitar. So obviously I need to get one of those, feedback killers for the sound hole of the guitar. But for now, I'm just mitigating it by just using it high pass. From there, both channels are getting a boost at 12K. They're about the same, but the reason why I'm doing them on the channel rather than over here on this EQ, because I mean, that's 12K there too. But this is a shelf, and it just sounds a little smoother than this, which is a peak. And so it just sounds a little fizzy. If I boost that even the same amount, it just sounds different. So this is a little smoother. Obviously cutting low end from the vocal because the SM58 is got that cottony sort of sound, but it doesn't help much because this is at 80 Hertz. So it's just kind of killing some, maybe a bit boominess and kind of compensating for this boost that I'm doing. It's a huge boost that I need in order for, and here as well. So I'm boosting 80 Hertz and 60 Hertz to get the kick drum to sound like a kick drum from an acoustic guitar. But yeah, so I'm killing a bunch of this just to try to, tilt that from the vocals. And obviously dumping all this mid-low stuff from both the guitar and vocals so that, it's not muddying things up. And then from there, it goes to this aux 1, which is a monitor out. That comes out of this cable straight into the back of the Phoenix Pro PTM 10 wireless in-ears. The pack goes into the KZs. I can't remember if it's the 8 driver or the 10 driver ones, but that's what I'm using there. And then from there, it normally goes to this effects send, which I have as a large plate. And those are normally, I don't know, somewhere about halfway. But for live, I just leave it on that large plate. And I don't change it. So obviously it doesn't suit every song, but I leave it because I don't want to deal with changing the parameters at every song. And then this is the cable that mutes the reverb when I'm talking. So that's the one that I showed in the pedal board video. Reason why the effects are off is while I'm doing videos, I don't want to print that reverb. I'm sending the vocal and the guitar straight to the camera. That's why these are panned. Normally for live, they're mono, except for, I guess it's going through the reverb. So the reverb technically is in stereo, but I pan them hard left and right. So the vocal ends up going out the left output straight to the channel 1 input of the camera. And then channel 2, which is the guitar, goes out output 2 straight into input 2 of the camera. That way I have separate control of the vocal and the guitar in post-production. And so then I can add reverb and delay that suit the vocals on their own, and I can add effects to the acoustic guitar if it needs it on their own. And I do add a little bit of a kind of a room sound for the percussion mostly, but any kind of reverb that I'm getting for the guitar, I usually get that from that Sonic Cake ambience pedal. So this is kind of it for the board part. So like I said, it just goes into channel 1 and 2 of the camera. I like to keep that locked so that I don't have the headache of trying to synchronize stuff later in post. That's sometimes a nightmare. I mean, DaVinci's really good because it has the auto sync, but you have to have a scratch track already. And because I'm using both inputs of the camera, I don't have the luxury of having just an extra scratch track to sync to. So I like keeping it all locked like this, super simple. and saves time. Okay, so now we'll head over to DaVinci and I will show you what I'm doing over there. And then I can show you what I do in Pro Tools as well. Here we are in DaVinci Resolve. These are the original audio files that come from the camera. This is the vocal that comes in on input 1, and this is the guitar and percussion that comes in on input 2. I'm exporting the original files, so I bring it all into DaVinci Resolve linked. You can see when I select this, all 3 tracks are linked. Immediately I go to the Deliver tab. So this bottom track isn't here originally. It's just the video track, the vocals, and the percussion guitar track. I go to the Deliver tab down here. Then I go to the very end, right over here, and I click on Pro Tools, uncheck the export video box here, and then I go to the audio, make sure it's a WAV file, and I make sure it's exporting as 24-bit. So I exported that. So there's 2 clips, just a left and right. I export that into Pro Tools. I do all my processing in Pro Tools, and then I bring it back in. Then in this Edit tab, I drag and drop that file in, and it's identical, but the only difference is I've done all my processing, and you can tell that this is the raw tracks, and they're really quiet. This has been basically limited and maximized for YouTube so that it's nice and loud. I don't actually target the -14 LUFS that YouTube kind of says you should, because I find that it just sounds so weak. I like to be where it's right up front. All the pro YouTubers, they're limiting it fairly heavy, and so I'm targeting that same loud signal. So then I bring that in, and then I mute the other 2 tracks, the raw tracks, and only play back this final one. Go back to the Deliver tab. I export that then as the YouTube 2160p, which is the full 4K Ultra HD. Export that, and then you can see here's the Oh Holy Night final version right here. That's the Resolve side of things. And now I can show you what I'm doing inside Pro Tools as well. So this is the raw tracks right out of the camera. This one's straight off the SM58 mic. This is the acoustic guitar with the percussion merged with it. And yeah, they're all just single takes. As you can see, I haven't gone in and edited anything. I haven't chopped it all up and resang anything. It's exactly raw what I did. And so, which you'll hear in a moment. First order of business that I do is I go in and I tune bad notes. So basically, I can sing, but my pitch isn't the best. So I don't make any apologies about going ahead and tuning bad notes. I do this for a living. I can't stand things that are out of tune. And I don't go in and like hard tune it. I don't like that. And I'll show you. Actually, let me just go to a spot here somewhere. I'll just try and find, let's go right here. So this is the raw vocal right off the mic. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, now. Okay, so voice says, you can hear with voices. Yeah, it's a little flat. That's sharp there. Okay, so you can hear that it's out of tune. So yeah, so I drop that into Melodyne, and here is that. So I'll just open that up. And so as I play that part, okay, so yeah, so "Oh Night, oh Night." Okay, so yeah, let me just play that back. So here's raw, just so you can hear it one more time. So voice says goes flat. Voices. Okay, and here's with Melodyne on. Voices. Oh, night. Yeah, so just lifting that a little bit. Yeah, so like I say, I'm not, you can tell that I'm leaving all the, I mean, I guess I still go a little sharp there still, but I'm not slamming it because it drives me nuts when it sounds like a robot. Anyways, so that's the first thing I do. I go in, tune all the bad notes, take care of that. Next thing is I'm denoising it a little bit because that old Mackie, I mean, it's not the cleanest and all of that. So I use this plugin, and it's just RX voice denoise. I just leave it at, I think it's the default setting actually. And I set it for music though. I switch it. I think it defaults to dialogue actually. So I use adaptive and it just plays and just cleans up the yeah, so just cleaning up a little bit of noise. I don't go crazy with it because it's not too bad, but anyway. Next is I'm using this new IDX plugin by Waves. So this is kind of their Intelligent Dynamics plugin, and I'm basically using it to compress and kind of take out some muddy frequencies as well. So this sounds like that. Oh, hear the angel voices. You can see it's taking out some of these frequencies here. Just make it sound a little clearer. Okay, so there's that. And then finally, I wanted a little bit of air on the top end. I guess not finally. I think there is something else here. Let me just see. So I'm using this Slate VMR plugin. This is an API model, I guess, or emulation. And I'm cranking the snot right out of 20K as far as it'll go. And just to add air and just, it basically, let me play that with and without. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but here's without. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh night. And here's with it. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh night. So it just adds a little bit of sheen to the top end and brings out the consonants a little bit more. Okay, there's that. And let me see, I think there is something else. Let me just see if I have inserts. Right, yes. Okay, so then I have this is called Neutron. And I'm using this just to kind of further clarify the vocal. I'm not using a bunch of it, 31%, but it also adds a little bit of a compression algorithm that adds some punch to it. There's a little bit of a warmth. I can use like a tape or tubes sort of emulation in here, and but I'm just using it to warm it up a little bit, make it like I like the top end, but I don't like it sounding harsh. And so I'm warming it up a bit, adding a little more compression because I have to have it loud enough for YouTube so that on phones and stuff it's not lost. And so this is what this sounds like bypassed, and then I'll bring it in. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh night. And then with it. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh night. So it adds a lot of top end and just kind of clarifies it. So yeah, so I'm using that. And then the final thing is I'm using this new Stellar Echo. So it's basically, anybody that's in audio will recognize this thing, but it's basically like a famous, I won't say the name, but it's like a famous kind of space echo hardware unit. And this is by Slate Digital as well. And so I'm using this as far as some hall reverb and delay. So this is what with and without that. Oh, hear the angel voices. I'll just do that part, and then here's with the delay reverb. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh night. Yeah, it's a little bit extreme. When I heard it afterward on YouTube, I thought, well, I went a little bit heavy-handed with that, but you know, it just kind of gives that sort of hall sound or whatever. And so anyways, I'd probably go a little lighter if I did it again, but I'm trying to push these out as quick as I can and not being too fussy. I want it to be real. So I'm not gonna, you know, go into as much depth as I would as far as a Spotify release or anything like that. So that's it for the vocal. The guitar part, I'm just doing some simple stuff. I'm just going through this same plugin, this new Waves plugin, IDX, And this is actually doing quite a bit because I'm using the hard setting and really bringing out the thump of the kick drum. So if I play this, oh, hear the angel voices. And sorry, let me just let's solo that so you can hear what with and without. So here's without it. Okay, and here's with it. So that's doing actually quite a bit. That's doing a lot there. And then I'm running that kind of just to match the kind of the big sort of washy sound of the vocal. Running it through this plugin called Revibe. And it's just like a reverb plugin. I've used this forever. This is an old Avid plugin. So I've used this as long as I've been recording probably. And here's what that sounds like. Yeah, so it gives it some of that room sound to blend with the vocal. I'll take it off and just so you can hear it dry again. Yeah, so it's like really inside your head type of thing. And then with it. Yeah, and also this kind of is, the room that I'm recording in is a bigger room. And I mean, it doesn't sound this ambient, but I'm trying to make it feel more natural anyways. And I could have probably gone with a little smaller room, but you know, it's a holy night. You got to go crazy with the epicness. So anyway, so that's the processing there. And then on my master bus, my favorite plugin of all time is this Slate VTM tape plugin. I used to record when I was beginning recording the whole process. I recorded to tape, and I've never lost the love of that sound. And I couldn't ever find a plugin or anything in the box digitally that gave that same emotion or gave me the same kind of goosebumps that original tape did. And so, I mean, I tried, McDSP came close. The Phoenix plugin by Dave Hill. When Dave Hill gave me that plugin, that was pretty cool. And that had some of that really cool vibe. Like when I put that on, it's like, oh, whoa, this seems closer, even closer than the McDSP one, the analog one. But when I got the Slate VTM, this one right here, so I'll turn that, I'll just show you what it looks like. When I got this one, and you can you can do this so that when you play it, it rolls. Yeah, it's kind of cheesy. No offense to Slate, but anyways, I just leave it off. It's just distracting. But anyways, this sounds like tape. I love this thing. I put this on every single thing that I record, and it's just great. So to the I guess average listener, it might not be noticeable. But to me, it's a big difference. It just sounds way thicker, warmer, smoother, silkier, all the goodies that I want. So here's bypassed. Oh, hear the angel voices. And with it. Oh, hear the angel voices. Yeah, just awesome. Sounds like a record. Okay, so I do that. That's the first step. And then to get the levels up to kind of standard levels where, it can play back on a phone, any kind of thing fairly with a consistent loudness, I run it through this plugin. I don't do anything fancy on it. It's just Ozone. It's this plugin by Isotope. And so basically, I'm not even going, I'm cranking the daylights and snot out of the low end, as you can see, just to try and get some more thump in the kick, dumping some of this crazy hollow mid-range sounding thing, and using a little bit of dynamic processing, but not much. This dynamic EQ is actually doing some stuff because it's still trying to clarify some of the mid-lows, some honky frequencies in that. And then most of all, what it's doing is this limiting, and it's just taking all the low level signal stuff, bringing it up and making sure it doesn't clip. So I set the ceiling to the YouTube standard of -1 true peak. And Yeah, and the LUF levels, it says -14, but I'm going louder than that. I need it to be able to compete with everybody else on YouTube. So, and so yeah, basically this is without. It's going to be a big difference. So just watch your ears if you got things cranked up right now. So here's without it. Oh, hear the angel voices. And with it. Oh, hear the angel voices. So that brings it up to the YouTube level so that it's finalized. So that's all the processing I do there. And literally it's just the single take, some tuning on some notes here and there, mostly kind of compression and kind of demudifying everything. And then like with the IDX plugin, adding some ambience just to give it some, you know, some gloss, I guess, and then bringing the levels up to finalize them. Most of the EQing stuff I'm doing is already pretty much done inside that Mackie board. And so, yeah, I'm kind of just keeping it real simple and not being too fussy. Anybody who's an audio engineer, you're going to hear all this and you go, wow, it can be improved upon. I totally agree. It's live right off the floor. There's no edits, no nothing. It's supposed to be real. And I'm not trying to make it sound like perfect. That's not my goal. It's just to do something fun. And also I like that I don't have to stress about making it, you know, a final Spotify release. I do that with all my clients. And if I release stuff on Spotify, I'll do my best to make it sound like that and spend the hours in. But this, I'm just trying to do it like a lot of this. I'm doing one song in the day. So I'm in the morning, I'm setting up, recording the song. Starting by figuring out what I'm doing for the song, the percussion and all that. And I'll do a video on that. Getting the lighting programmed and all that, and trying to get it recorded and, you know, in the camera by noon. And then I come back and then, you know, in the afternoon, then I'll go in and export the audio, do all this stuff, make sure it sounds all right, bring it back into DaVinci, and then do any edits and stuff I have to do in there, and trying to get it done, you know, in the afternoon to release by late afternoon or just after supper, post it up to YouTube. So anyways, so I don't have a bunch of time to mess around with it, but anyways, that's the process in Pro Tools. And then, yeah, thanks so much for watching. This has been a long one, but also look for a future video. I'm probably going to do some songs in between here just to break things up a little bit, but I will do a video on the camera stuff, kind of what I'm doing, just, you know, and camera and the video side of things, and also the lighting. And so hopefully someone will find that interesting. But until next time, take care. God bless.